Welcome to the month of December. It's the time of year where people feel more giving and more charitable. And, this year we're feeling giving and charitable too. So we're going to take the month of December to review movies that didn't quite make it into theaters. So this month, we decided to go with the theme of DC animated movies. And so we have 5 of them that showed in the intro. And the first one that we watched was Justice League: The Flashpoint Paradox. Thoughts?
I personally really enjoyed it because it's way darker than I thought it was going to be. So I had a preconceived notion that because these were animated, they're kids' movies.
They're not.
That's not the case.
Justice League Flashpoint revolves around Wonder Woman decapitating Mera after her and Aquaman bang, and that causes a war. I'm going to run through the plot here. I have it pulled up. So, movie starts with Barry visiting his mom's grave. He's alerted to a break-in as the rogues are basically attacking the Flash Museum. Barry defeats all of them.
Pause. I thought it was really cool that he keeps his costume and his ring. Seems like a great...
That's a Flash thing.
It seems like a great way to store things.
Yeah, he
It's
goes...
like Hermione with her purse. It just keeps going.
He finds out that the rogues have been hired by Eobard Thawne, who in this is known as Zoom.
And I also kept thinking that they were saying Thong.
So, Thawne puts all of the little bombs on the rogues. Then Barry, traps Thawne so that he's like, hey, if we're all going down, you're coming down with us. And then the Justice League shows up, and they all, diffuse the bombs in their own special way, with Superman being the most awesome, where he just puts it in his hands. And he just looks at the guy like... As Thawne is being carted away, he's like, you saved everybody today, but you can't save the one person who really matters, hinting back towards his mom. And Batman's like, yeah, he's a psychopath, but you did good today, buddy. Cool. And then Flash runs away, and we get the title that says The Flashpoint Paradox. And then Barry wakes up, and it's that typical time travel thing where he's like, this calls for the Flash, and everybody's like, who's the Flash?
And he's like, what?
And he, goes to run, but then he just trips and falls on his face, and his mom's there. What? He wakes up, he realizes his powers are gone, his mom's alive, his wife Iris is married to somebody else, and the Justice League doesn't exist. Also, Aquaman is invading Europe, and Wonder Woman has taken over Great Britain with the Amazons.
Naturally.
You
want to get nuts? Come on, let's get nuts.
Batman is no longer Bruce Wayne because Bruce Wayne got shot in the alley, and his mom became the Joker because she went insane, and his dad became a casino owner, brutal Batman.
He's probably already dead.
Then so are you.
Best plot twist ever with
Martha being
Joker. Yeah, I thought that was the way that they did it. She's holding a dead Bruce and takes her blood and her bloodied hand, and it looks like she's gonna do a
she's
gasp,
shocked.
oh my goodness, and then she pulls her hands away and she's just laughing, and you see it's the Joker smile, and I was like, ooh.
I think everything they did with Batman and Flashpoint was fantastic.
So good. And I loved Thomas Wayne's take on Batman because it's just such a
I'm done with this world.
Yeah, it's such a apt representation of what would happen to a man if his child was shot in front of him and his wife became his worst enemy.
Yeah, he beats Joe Chill to death with his bare hands. But yeah, you find out that the whole war that's going on was caused by Aquaman cheating on Mera, and then
with
Mera...
Wonder Woman.
Yeah, with Wonder Woman, and then Mera, instead of confronting her husband about it,
she did what a true woman would do,
confronts
which is go
Wonder
after
Woman about
the
it.
other woman. Okay, can we just have a side
And then
note?
they fight to the death, and then Wonder Woman freaking decapitates Mera,
holds up her head,
and puts her crown on, and it's like,
wow.
Maybe this is a little bit of an overreach here.
It's a bit of an overreaction.
During all this, Cyborg is trying to recruit Batman to, be a strategist because he's trying to develop sort of a Justice League. He's got all of the Shazam kids.
Also,
who else does he have?
I love the Shazam kids.
The Shazam kids are fantastic.
They just bop around. They're just like, boop, we're kids, and then when it matters, they're like, Shazam!
I think one of the things this movie suffers from is it wants to cut in a lot of the stuff from the comic book that was fleshed out in the side stories that doesn't really impact the story at all.
Like what?
It cuts in the Deathstroke Lex Luthor scene, which I think works okay enough, but then all of the Lois Lane stuff kind of feels tacked on.
Yeah, that
and
really
the Outsiders with the Demon Etrigan, who are seen like twice. Barry goes to Wayne Manor because he's like, Batman will be able to help me. And then Thomas Wayne promptly like takes his finger and he just immediately like breaks one of them and he's like,
Bruce took me here, showed me. I
used to be a doctor. Mention my dead son again, and I will break out my surgical instruments.
And so they...
And then he insists that Thomas Wayne shoot him with lightning and, like, acid and all of these different chemicals, which goes horribly wrong.
And he gets covered in third-degree burns.
He's completely disfigured. We're talking, like, Deadpool.
And then Barry's like, we gotta try again.
Barry's like, no, it's cool. We'll do it again. And worst case scenario, I
die.
But it's worth it.
And it's fine. But the second time it works.
And he comes back, he's all healed because he's got that time healing factor now. After
they do that, Barry's like, well, we gotta get Superman. And so they team up with Cyborg, and they find Superman as a baby blew up Metropolis when his little pod crashed on Earth.
Because instead of it crashing on the farm, we see that it crashed in Metropolis.
He's been stored in a Red Sun vault his entire life.
So he's all like emaciated and skinny
and he's like
gray
traumatized in a corner. Like they walk up to him and he's like obviously been abused by everybody who's ever approached him.
He's basically every puppy that you've ever seen in any dog shelter that you go to where they're all just huddled up in the corner. It was so sad. It made me want to adopt him. I was like, don't worry, Superman,
They break him out, and then I think in one of the cool moments in the movie, like, the sun hits him for the first time, and he's like, what is this? They get attacked by a bunch of government stooges. And then Superman freaking melts them with his eyes. But moving right along, Wonder Woman kills Steve Trevor.
Who's that?
Remember Wonder Woman, like, wraps her lasso around his neck?
Oh, yeah, that was
Chris Pine from the Wonder Woman movie.
They have breakfast. They love a breakfast. And they love to wake up and read the paper and go to work. They get married, make some babies, grow old together. I guess.
Barry, Cyborg, and Batman, they go to Billy Batson's home with the Shazam kids. And Barry convinces all of them to go to Europe to stop the war and make the Justice League. And so they all go there, and a final battle ensues where you have probably the dumbest moment in the entire movie where we find out Aquaman and Wonder Woman are talking to each other for the first time.
You murdered my wife, Diana.
She tried to assassinate me, Arthur. I was protecting myself.
Things that could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
All of that to say, I still think that it's a really good storyline. I think they probably should have fleshed that part out a little bit, because they're talking while they're battling each other, which is kind of like a meh kind of version of any of the battles we've seen in this movie.
Yeah, Wonder Woman freaking murders the Shazam kids.
Yeah.
In the most brutal way possible. Like, she has a broken sword and just eviscerates each one individually.
Just katanas.
It was horrifying. And then you find out, obviously, behind everything...
Hello, Barry. I love what you've done with the place.
Reverse Flash was there, and that's why Barry can't travel in time, because he can't access the full Speed Force.
Because there's somebody else who's holding power.
And so Reverse Flash freaking stabs Barry in the leg with rebar.
Oh man, that hurt.
As long as I can siphon off the Speed Force, you can't escape this timeline. I'm afraid there just isn't enough Speed Force to go around.
There is now.
Okay, Batman shooting Thawne in the head was a great moment.
So badass.
It felt so satisfying. And then basically Batman's like, here's a letter, give this to Bruce when you get back to your own time.
Yep.
Freaking run, because Aquaman sets off the bomb that starts blowing up their whole world.
Oh yeah, that's something we just passed over. Aquaman makes the decision
To blow up
the
Earth.
Yeah, he's like, no, we'll just destroy everything, including ourselves.
Yeah, it's fine. But Barry runs back, and then he wakes up, and he's at his desk. Everything's back to some semblance of normal. He gives Bruce the letter, and I thought this was a nice moment.
You're one hell of a messenger.
It's a touching moment.
It is, because I feel like it, and that's why one of the reasons I really enjoyed this movie is because I feel like it touched on a lot of things that the other DC movies don't, which is
The relationships
between the characters.
I think they did a good job at the end here, reining the focus back in and putting it's Flash and Batman.
So here,
that's all the story is about.
Yeah, I think another reason why I really loved this movie was because I felt like it had a start point and then it fanned out really, like, with all of the different storylines really well, but then it bottlenecked back into the end to make you, like, to bring back the focus, like you said, to Barry and Batman and where it all started. But I didn't feel like any of the storylines it went on, it didn't complete.
So overall, I would say this movie was worth a watch.
5 out of 5 for me. You
really liked it?
Yes.
I would give it probably like a 4 out of 5.
We're only at the beginning of this, so my opinion might change, but this, for me, out of all the DC movies I've seen, was by far the best.
Awesome.
That's how I feel.
Well, we both recommend that you guys check this out.
Yes.
It's a fun alternate timeline Justice League story.
Yeah.
And
tune in next week for us to watch
Batman Assault on Arkham, and maybe we'll get to see a good Suicide Squad movie.
Ba-da-da-da! But, yeah, so we'll see you guys next week for our next Direct to DVDecember. And Riley says goodbye.
Riley does say goodbye.